All righty. Trump's budget bill just passed. Will it survive the legislative process? The question there is, what happens if Trump doesn't agree to pay for extending his tax cuts? Will conservatives cave as they did in 2016? And Trump told us during the election, transparency. That's how we get trust back. Transparency, right? On the big things that Americans want to know, right? The JFK and R-Fla assassinations, the Dr. King assassination, Jeffrey Epstein's client list, okay? Member of Congress Paulina Luna had to vote on the bill tonight, but also took this job of channeling the transparency to get this information out to the American people. Now, she can't get an answer from her own administration. Why? I also have a Doge question for her. Did you hear today that the person running it, maybe they weren't lying in open court about Musk not running Doge and not working for Doge? Who's Amy Gleason? Huh. And why did their 5 biggest spending cuts just all of a sudden get deleted? They were just celebrating them. Let's bring in Member of Congress from Florida, Paulina Luna. Just finished voting on the House floor, of course, and part of passing that resolution. It's good to see you, my friend.
Very happy to be here, and sorry we're a little bit late, but I literally just came from the floor.
Luna, the job always comes first. Let me ask you, let's see if you can answer all my questions tonight. First, do you believe you get the tax cuts extended because they are paid for? Will conservatives make the case?
I actually just talked to Jason Smith about this, and I do believe that that's something that they're currently talking about right now, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Look, we have a very slim majority. As you saw, this reconciliation bill just passed by 1 vote. But again, you know, until things are finalized and hammered out, and remember, we have to get this through the Senate, I think I'll be able to answer that at a better time later on.
But what's the mood of what happened in 2016 versus now in terms of paying for them? That was a hard one for conservatives to swallow. I was obviously covering it back then at CNN, and they didn't like that deal. It led to Paul Ryan getting out of Congress. What's the recollection of that event and the feeling about what to do now?
Well, look, I wasn't here in 2016,
no, you were not.
But what I can tell you is from my very brief time here on the Hill, there has been a shift and change specifically with the open dialogue, not just with conservatives in the governing body, but also too, President Trump has been pretty instrumental in some of those negotiations, and his liaison team for Congress is actually pretty active. And so I know that including these members and making sure that they have a seat at the table prior to this legislation coming to the floor has been pretty key in passing legislation with such a tight majority. That is, again, something that I'm still hearing conversations about. Some of the more fiscal conservatives are obviously wanting to come to the table and negotiate. So I don't think that you'll see the same thing happen that happened in 2016.
All right. Now, Luna, you're pretty tough, right? You know, you just forced me to apologize to you in a text we were going back because you didn't like how I was talking. So you're tough. So I want to know, what did you say to the DOJ about not giving you the transparency that everybody was promised? You know they have the files. Why don't you have them? Why aren't you making me beg to get you on the show as you're holding them up like this, saying, sorry, I got to go to everybody else first? Why aren't you getting them?
Well, in full transparency, first of all, I want to explain to people what the objective is of the task force, because I think that there was a lot of confusion because of the name of the task force. So we're running the declassification task force, but to be clear, the declassification authority actually solely lies with Tulsi Gabbard, Mike Waltz, Pam Bondi, and the White House legal counsel. And so there's a process that occurs. President Trump signed an executive order specifically covering Martin Luther King, RFK, and JFK. Now, there's supposed to be a plan that's presented to the president that we are supposed to be getting briefed on this week by ODNI at the White House, and that will lay out the process in which declassification will take place. And so just stick with me for a minute. We met with the National Archives today. Once that process takes place, if everything goes as planned, these will be publicly available as soon as we get them. The American people will also be getting them, and they will be on a hard landing page at the National Archives. Now, going into talking about the Epstein files, etc. We sent letters to the Department of Justice. We have received that they have confirmation of those letters, but we haven't received dialogue. And my goal and objective is to not, try to attack Pam Bondi or roast Pam Bondi, but we have a investigation that we need to conduct. Obviously, we asked for some transparency on this topic, and so we're hoping that she can come forward.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.